Are people reaching out to you with job opportunities based off your LinkedIn profile? I'm going to show you line by line how to make that happen. Ready? But first, what do I know about it? Well, I managed international recruitment teams for 5 years, and before that, I was a software developer for about 20 years. And as a developer, I didn't understand this, so there's a fair bet that you don't either. It's a game, and we're going to learn to play it. So let's imagine an example scenario. Let's say a real job comes into me and I'm sat there as the recruiter. Now I know that we're probably not going to be the only recruitment agency looking to fill this vacancy, right? So this is going to become a speed game, and I've probably got hundreds, if not thousands of profiles to go through. What tends to happen, in my experience, is recruiters work to a 3-day window. The reason for this is because of those other agencies looking. As soon as we go past this magic 3-day window, the chances of us being able to get our candidates in front of that client start to diminish. Basically, the other agencies start to flood that client's calendar with appointments, and now I can't get my candidates seen. So once we go past that 3-day window, I think this game might be over. There's probably no point in me looking anymore. So what am I actually doing as a recruiter? When you apply, I'm looking through your profile and trying to scan through that document and to make an assessment whether you are worth more of my time, whether you are a good fit for the job description I've got in my hand. So it's a little bit of buzzword bingo. The main thing I want you to remember is you need to be explicit, because the person reading your profile is probably not technical. But what you need to do is to pass that first scan and be deemed worthy of a more in-depth, detailed read of your profile. So this mini course is all about how to set up your LinkedIn profile so that you can pass that scan read. Now, there's more to this than just LinkedIn, but I'm hoping this will give you a taster, and if you're interested in fixing all of your other profiles and then looking into a strategy for how to stand out and land more interviews, then you'll come back to me for the full course. So let's start with the banner image. What is a banner image? Why do you need a banner image? Why does LinkedIn even include a banner image? Now, we have to be honest and accept that it is a large piece of screen real estate. So I like to think it's a cover. And we do judge books by covers. Now this is a cover to your book, the book about you. So the image is not important. You can have, like many people do, an image of your pet or your recent holiday, whatever it is. But what we want to do is we want to stand out to that person who's reading our profile. Remember, they've got a job description in their hand and they're thinking, does this person align? So we want a quick visual way of saying, yes, you're in the right place. Keep this profile open. I'm exactly what you're looking for. So what I like to do is, regardless of what the image is, hopefully it's a nice, clean, crisp, professional image. But also on top of that, we're going to drop logos of the main 4 to 5 technologies that you want to be known for. Let's think about our recruiter again. They've got this job description and they're thinking, oh, I'm looking for a Python developer, perhaps with Django, some testing tools, maybe some cloud skills, and they arrive at your profile. And the first thing they see are logos for Python, Django, PyTest, and perhaps AWS. Somebody just hit the jackpot. The banner image has done its trick. We've hooked them in. Now we're down to the headline. I want you to think of this like a newspaper headline. A newspaper headline is there to grab attention. We've kind of started that process with the banner image. Now we're going to do the same thing, but in a textual format. So in that headline, I want you to think of 2 things. What kind of developer are you? And what are the main skills you want to be known for? So an example of this might be, I'm a front-end developer, and in brackets, React, TypeScript, Redux, etc. Now this might feel like a little bit of repetition from the banner, but repetition is good. We're cementing it in. This is the kind of profile you're looking for. And now they're down to the about section, and this is a big text area, but I want you to think about this as being a lot smaller than it actually is. So That headline only gave you a limited amount of space to detail who you are and what sort of jobs you're going to be interested in, what your value offering is. Now this about section allows us to unpack that. So we're going to talk about the main skills we've got. We're going to talk about the complementary skills, the skills that might be found in the nice to have section. And then at the end, we're going to talk about the skills we might be learning at the minute. Though we never say I'm learning, we say my current interests include. Let's think about an example job. A job might be out there saying we're looking for someone with React and TypeScript. They arrive at your profile, they see React and TypeScript in the banner image, they see it in the headline, they're getting a little bit excited. They get down to the about section, and now we're starting to think about what might be in the nice to have section of that job description. Again, it might be Redux, it might be testing tools, it might be cloud skills, whatever it is. So we're going to start to detail all those things, but we're not going to write War and Peace here. We've got about 3 or 4 lines before the user has to click that See More link to expand it. That's work. Now, this person doesn't have time to work. They don't have time to read. So we're going to sweat the first 3 to 4 lines, whatever it is that's visible on screen, and we're going to get all of our tech into those first few lines. I want you to think that the person reading your profile is not interested in you or doesn't see value in you yet. So we're going to entice them and tell them we are the kind of developer you're looking for. I am a good match for that job description you've got. Now they're interested, now they'll read. So if you've got things you want to say about yourself, about your favorite color, your favorite flavor of ice cream, where you last went on holiday, those are great things for paragraphs 2, 3, and 4. Paragraph 1, or certainly the first 3 to 4 lines, is all about the tech. And the last thing I wanted to mention about this heading section is the contact information. In here, I want you to put links to anything you want the reader to see. Now that could be your GitHub profile, it could be a portfolio website, anywhere you want to send them to. Now I don't want to go into too much about this, but this is going to be important later. We're going to come back to this. So if the recruiter or the hiring manager likes what they see, now their brain starts to switch from being in searching mode into confirming mode. They found someone who might be a great potential match for this role. So now they want to evidence to somebody else. So a recruiter could be selling you on to their boss or their client to say, this is a great developer for this role and here's why. This is where it comes down to the experience section. So recruiters and employers are asking themselves subconsciously 3 questions. For the technologies for which they're searching, when did you start using those technologies? Are you currently using those technologies? And how frequently can we see you using them? The more they see you using them, the more confident they feel that you can use those technologies and you can do the job. So for each entry, I want you to consider adding 3 to 5 bullet points. What did you build? What did you learn? What was the business benefit? What were the challenges? How did you overcome those challenges? And for each one of those bullet points, we're going to pepper the tech through them. I certainly want you to focus on making sure there is tech in at least the first 2 bullet points, because those are the 2 that are going to be displayed before that classic See More link. Remember, the reader doesn't have time to work and click on things. Make sure the tech is always above the fold. Underneath each experience entry is a skills section. This is a relatively new addition to LinkedIn. So you place all the skills that you've been using, all the technical skills you've been using in here, and the user has to click on that link and it expands all of the technologies. Now this is fine, it's worth using, it's worth filling in, but I don't want you to rely on it because that again relies on the user clicking something. So we use that section, add the skills that you want to be known for in there, but also then consider making sure we put those skills into the first 2 bullet points. So let's talk about freelance work and self-employment. Unfortunately, these 2 things are feared. These 2 things are looked upon as being untrustworthy. So the problem here is many people say they are freelancers, and freelancing can mean various different things. Freelancing can mean I'm building lots of projects for my clients, for my customers, I'm getting paid, and I'm a great freelancer. Freelancing can also mean I have no clients, I play Call of Duty in my underwear on a daily basis. This now means the burden of proof is on you, because the person reading your profile, when they see freelancing, when they see self-employment, they're thinking, what does that mean? I need to now know, was that quality experience? So you need to go further. You need to go that extra mile and detail the clients, the projects, the technologies you used and what you built and what the benefits were. Should you include non-technical experience? Yes. I am still to this day yet to hear an employer say to me, we'd really like to find someone brand new to life. See what I mean? Your experience, no matter if it's technical or not, has made you the person you are today. And no matter what it is, you can and should be leveraging it. So while we're on the subject of not having technical experience, this is where your experience section starts to let you down in terms of driving this story forward. But this is where you can use the projects section in the same way. Projects are you giving yourself experiences. So I want you to fill in the project section in exactly the same way. Think about all those questions, all those bullet points that we were talking about. What did you build? What did you learn? What was the benefit? What were the challenges? How did you overcome those challenges? We were peppering the tech through them, remember? The classic mistake that most developers make here is they think detailing their project is all about what the project actually did. Sure, that might be interesting, but that's not what the person reading your profile is interested in. They're trying to sell you on to somebody else, or they're trying to match you to the skills within the job. So this is not about whether your Netflix clone works or your weather app tells the weather in 5 different places. This is about the technology you used and what you are now capable of doing. Whether you have technical experience or not, proactivity wins. So I am reading hundreds of profiles every day, and it's quite common for me to see, certainly in the About section, I'm passionate, I'm enthusiastic about tech. And then I get down to their activity section, or maybe I'm looking at them on GitHub, and I see no evidence of them doing any coding whatsoever. Have you ever heard about anyone being passionate about something but never talks about it or does it? Me neither. So let's not focus on what you don't have if you don't have experience. Let's focus on what you do have. You have proactivity, right? And proactivity means I don't need hand-holding. You're not trying to fool anybody. You're just trying to showcase that I'm proactive about making myself a better developer. So how are we going to show proactivity? Well, this is where I normally ask developers, what is the one thing you hope I see, me as the recruiter or me as the employer? Where do you hope I get to? And they'll usually tell me some convoluted process to get through to their portfolio or some project that they're proud of. And I always say, in this instance, the recruiter or the employer is your customer. And the customer is always right. Now, our customers don't spend time on our portfolio websites, sadly. They spend time on LinkedIn. So they don't even like GitHub. They don't know what GitHub is, right? So instead of, maybe layer 1 driving these people all the way through to your project, through to your portfolio, or the thing you want them to see, and that's a good thing to do in itself, why don't we drag all of that value back and put it in front of our customer? Put it on LinkedIn. And this is where I want you to document the journey. I know. Right now you're saying, oh, I don't like social media, I don't want to do this, or, I feel anxious about it. Everybody feels the same. But the problem we've got is you are working hard. You are putting in a lot of effort to grow and develop yourself. And unfortunately, that work is going unnoticed and unappreciated. We need people to see it, and currently it's hidden. So I want you to start posting on LinkedIn in front of your customer. And we're going to talk about a way to do that will take you about 5 minutes a post, and by the end of this, you won't care. You'll be doing this every time you come to commit. In fact, that's what I want you to do. Let's deal with the most common pushback. Usually people say, I can't post about what I'm doing because I've got an NDA. Now, I'm not asking you to give away company secrets. I mean, let's be honest, if you actually read your NDA, it says you can't give away company secrets. That's not what we want to do. And your NDA doesn't say you can't talk about tech, you can't talk about if statements and while loops. So we want to be documenting, what you built, what you learned, but we don't need to detail, the exact inner workings of the Google PageRank system. What we need to be defining is, what did you learn? What did you build? What did you learn? What was the benefit? What were the challenges? How did you overcome those challenges? And we need to kind of extract the tech. So what I want you to do is every time you're coding and you come to commit, I want an alarm bell to go off in your head. And you think, what did I just build? What did I learn? What's the benefit, etc. And then I want you to write about 4 or 5 lines, because this is the only thing that's going to get seen in that activity summary. They're going to see 2 or 3 lines actually. Even on the full post, they're going to see, because LinkedIn now does it in a different way where you get to see a more vertical version of it. You still only see about 4 or 5 lines. And I want you to write mainly about the tech that you've used within that piece of work. And I like to use hashtags for the tech. This is not for any algorithm. This is just to make sure that tech pops in that story. So the people who come along, look at your profile, they're not going to read these posts. They won't read any of your posts. But when they do glance through them, when they do, look at the body of work, all they're seeing is the tech popping, and they get a feel that you're living and breathing the tech. And now on top of that, I want you to add a visual element. We love pictures, right? So you might want to include a screenshot if it's a more front-end piece of work you're doing, or maybe even a code snippet. When I say a code snippet, I don't mean screenshot the whole of VS Code. I mean a code snippet that's 5-10 lines maximum, so that people can actually see the code that you're writing, and then we write about that. So when someone sees your post, they see a code snippet and 4 or 5 lines, which is pinging the tech out to them, and they think, oh, that's something they were doing with that tech that I'm looking for. Again, I've struck gold. Now we want to get posting. And at first, I want to flesh out your profile. I want them to see this proactivity. So I want you to post almost every day if you can, and do this for a few weeks until you've got about 20 posts. At the start, I want you to feature every single post, and then later we're going to stand back and look at them and go, which posts are the best examples of my work? This bunch of posts might highlight my React skills. This post it talks about my testing skills. This post talks about some design element, and we want to mix and match a few of these in so that we cover all our bases. It's kind of like plate spinning. So we want them to be looking for us with a job description in mind, and they see our profile and they go, even just from the posts, they tick off 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 pieces of tech just from the posts alone. So when they go and try and sell you to their boss or their client, and they say, well, have they got these skills? Yes, you can see them talking about it almost every day. Now, I know lots of people don't want to post, and that's okay. I've got you covered. So why not try DevJourney.ai? This is something we have developed so that it produces posts from your commits to the standard that I want them to be. So the post should look exactly like I've been explaining to you before. Not only that, you can also take an existing repository and ask it to create a sequence of posts for you. So all that previous work you've been doing that you thought you hadn't leveraged properly, now you can. So give DevJourney.ai a try. There's a free trial for 30 days. Let me know what you think. Final thing I wanted to mention is skills and endorsements and recommendations. I really don't think these are as valuable as people give them credit for. What I do want to say is, yes, fill in the skills section. This might help in you being found when people are searching. As far as endorsements and recommendations, they're nice to have. If you can get them, great, but I wouldn't worry about them if you don't have them. I don't think people are going, oh, I wasn't going to employ you, but this person said nice things, therefore I'm going to employ you. I think a lot of the time people see these and go, this is just your friends giving you a helping hand. So unless that endorsement for that skill comes from a very noteworthy person, I really don't think you should be worrying about it that much. Yes, fill it in, why not? but don't spend too much time on it. So that brings us to the end of this course. Let's have a quick recap about what we've been talking about. So we talked about how recruitment works and why you should fill your profiles in a particular way. Then we looked at the profiles themselves. We looked at the banner image, headline, and the about section, the Holy Trinity as I refer to them as, and how you should be concise and clear in your communication. This is the kind of developer I am. This is the kind of job that I want. Once we've enticed them, now someone is willing to spend more time reading in a more thorough way through our profile. And that's when that switch starts to go off in their head. They go from searching into that confirmation step where they go, okay, you seem like the right developer. Now let's look for evidence. This is where they're looking through your experience or your projects, if you have them, and they're thinking, okay, when did you start using those skills? Are you currently using those skills? And how frequently can I see you using the skills? So we need to pepper the tech through all of those things. If you don't have experience, then, and even if you do actually, but if you don't have experience, it's even more important to then start looking at your activity. Proactivity wins in this game. This is where our activity section and our featured post section really starts to help us. So consider starting to post and document your journey. Show that you are living and breathing the tech. And then after that, once they've gone through all of those steps and looked at all of your work, if they've been enticed, now they're willing to click more. This is where I said I'd return to that contact section later on. So now they've found your profile, they've looked through it and gone, I think you could be the right kind of developer for this role, but now I need to sell you. So now they need to show your profile to their boss or their client, and they're going to need convincing. So it's never going to be just about LinkedIn. This is where they go to the contact information and they'll click to see where else they can get to. This could be GitHub, portfolio websites, projects, and more. But they're not going to click and look at all those things unless you entice them from LinkedIn or perhaps maybe a resume. So this is where we need to work on all of those profiles. And what I want you to consider is that philosophy that your profiles need to communicate in 5 or 10 seconds to grab their attention. If you grab their attention, then they'll perhaps read more. Thank you very much for watching. My name's David from Crushing Digital. I hope it's been helpful. I'd love your feedback. You can reach me at david@crushing.digital, but you can also find me at Crushing Digital on most social media platforms. I'm very active on LinkedIn as well. I'll leave all the contact details below, and if you've got any questions, I'll try and answer them for you. I wouldn't want to leave you without also mentioning my full course. If this has been insightful for you and you'd rather go deeper, you want to learn more about GitHub and resumes and portfolio websites, how to network, how to job search, how to stand out, how to pass the interviews, then that's what my full course is for. If you are interested, I'd love to work with you. I'll leave the details in a link down below, and I hope to see you soon. Take it easy.